stay. Thank you so much. So to begin with this session, I would like to invite Mr. Arjun Chatterjee, sir.
With me if I go trilingual at times, and because we have journalists from all over the state, and Mr. Shishodia did not mention this to me earlier. This is a happy homecoming for me because we have many journalists from India Today Group. So, and they're coming from all over Bengal and different parts. So we would go trilingual. My initial session yesterday was, as most of you were not there, was revolving around the emerging digital space. And since there are faculty members as well here, I would try and limit myself to this topic on the screen, jobs of future. And pessimistic note though, I would say that jobs are shrinking for journalists. And that's a global phenomenon. So people in Calcutta need not to worry much. You are on the same boat as it is in Africa, UK and US. Us to try and, which is also in a way a sort of a good news for interns. They're trying to get intellectual labor young and cheap. So interns are getting jobs and seniors in the profession are losing it because of the pay packages. So if somebody has to be paid 1.5 lakhs, he or she can be replaced by 3 or 4 interns who can be paid 20,000 each. So that's the usual trend that happens. That's happening throughout the media market. Therefore, when we talk of jobs, we do not restrict. We would also extend it to other different wings of media studies. So the job options, and this is where I tell, so I would request faculty members here to focus on, is you have to inform the student that they are at the epicenter of the octopus. So there are tentacles all over, and it's not just that utopia that you will walk out of media school, become a right-looking anchor, hold a mic out on the streets of any city and do journalism. You can do a lot, many more other things. And the basis of that is content, because content is key. So you must be a member of at least 1 or 2 libraries, wherever, in whichever cities. With the BBC, we had to break hurdles of at least 7 or 8 hurdles to publish one news story, which is not the practice here in India. For some reason, I don't know why, because we don't lack manpower, probably we lack the intent. There is a lot of money in the newsroom, but that's not spent on editorial people. That's rather spent on advertising and somewhere else. So, why do I say this? I say this because there has to be a strong R&D team, research and development team. In any sphere in your life, I'll just cite an example. On a vacation, when you go out with your family or alone, on a high altitude mountain trek, or when you go out to travel, or the morning when there's waterlogging outside your home, when you look for options to go to your place of work, you do ask questions to yourself, to Google Maps, how to do it. Do we do that same practice or exercise for a news story? We don't. So it starts from home. But by that I want to say that we are not intrinsically averse to it. We know the art of practicing and researching. It's just that we are not made to do it. So program researcher, broadcasting, films and video, R&D, research and development, is a huge area where students should pay attention to, and that involves an academic bent of mind. You should know, we would have the next session with Google, and you should know the tools, how to research, how to go to Google Scholar, how to download PDFs, how to go. So my key point that I would try to convey is you should try and focus at areas where we are virgins, we are new. Indian media is new, in terms of investment as well. Because if you have an R&D team, the whole nature and credibility of the content increases manifold. बहुत बढ़िया हो जाता है after a lot of research. And research doesn't mean involving quotes only. You go to Brainy Codes, download 2-3 codes and put it in a script, that doesn't make good research. Trust me. If you read good journals, first look at the bibliography. And there will be, I mean, when we were growing up, I think that author's name should be mentioned, Sidney Sheldon. His books, at times, if you go to a Sidney Sheldon book, at the back of it, there's a bibliography. Now, authorship calls for bibliography. We newsmakers do not do it. So, that is one key area, public relations officer. And by that, we had a lot of discussion yesterday, PRO. Public relations officer is not equivalent to telephone operators, as Samrita had mentioned yesterday, is not equivalent to receptionist. It's a key area, and it calls for a lot of things. It calls for not just smartness in a world of vulnerability. It also calls for diction, right choice of words. क्या बोलना है, कहाँ बोलना है, कैसे बोलना है, किसको, what kind of respect one should leverage. So at the bottom of it is a sense of dignity. So if you have that element of dignity in yourself and you know how to reciprocate that to people around you, I think that's one of the key areas that public relations officer should have. Public relations also is a key area, emerging area, particularly because most of the universities, academic institutions, research organizations, government institutions, ministries, we have a rich government at the center now. All the governments in the world are, and I strongly believe that however much of privatization we talk about, the governments across the world have started to realize that if they start owning the state properties, they will make more money. So it's a late but probably sensible realization. And all these wings will have public relations officer. And that will not happen by just walking out of a media school with a graduate degree. Because that makes no sense. Because there you only know the tools and you only know how to go about it, but you don't know how to write. And writing has to change. So if you are a PRO of the DRDO, which is the Defense and Research Development Organization in Delhi, or the Army, or the Navy, or Coal Ministry, Railways, in the government sector, you have to write scripts differently. We as journalists, many of us will agree with me, because I mentioned about journalism yesterday, where we have to generate product very quick and very fast and at a very cheap rate. Trust me, many not so great channels just copy paste the press handout that's given to journalists. And bureau chiefs, when they send the interns, they tell them, report to jo karna hai kar lena, aate waqt wo press release lekar aana. Kyunki wo press release copy paste karke story ban jayega. Who would employ the whole mind and write a fresh thing? So that happens, that's the reality. Now if you write that press release well, and that is the story, by default you are a journalist. No one would acknowledge that though. But what happens is, within the journalistic circuit, people know who's the better one. You improve your job prospects and switchovers. So that's an art. So how to write it, because PRO is slightly also about into the domains of propaganda. So you have to balance between information and propaganda. So that's an art. Run a broadcast, film, video, I will come back to it. Social media manager, I personally believe social media is now slightly, not dying I would say, but moving towards individual media. So everyone in this room are journalists. So we don't need an Instagram or a Facebook. Yes, we do need a platform, but a platform which is more visible is okay with us. As long as Facebook or Instagram or Telegram, WhatsApp gives that to us, we are fine. If XYZ comes up, China is doing immensely well, and in days ahead, I probably know for sure there will be apps coming emerging from China, and we will do a lot. We probably will be doing that on their platforms. Hopefully India can come up with some more. Television and video producers, this is something that you will learn from the school, production, and that's not just, it's television, it's film, it's true. You learn the basics of production, but it's a different ball game between television and filmmaking. And web content manager, that's a very key area. All the newsprints, print, DOI, Express, everybody across the world has a presence on the web. And that web content is a different job. Web content managing is a different job. Web content marketing is another different job. But the underlying theme is, for all these jobs, you have to be editorially sound. Even if you have to sell, you should know which is the right editorial content that can take you forward. And that is a key area. Now, where this degree would be useful, this is for faculty people to share with, which is advertising account executive, broadcast journalist. I think we are almost on the verge of extinction these days. Editorial assistant. I checked and we have such roles in foreign media. We do not have by that name in Indian media, but yes, there are editorial assistants. They are probably interns or trainees or junior producers or just a producer. A producer in a newsroom can be doing anything. So if you're talking about broadcast, it's ideally divided into two key areas, which is the output and the input. So where content comes in, content gets cooked and generated. I'm using the word cooked, sorry, but it does happen. And then content goes out. So input and output, and there you can have editorial assistants on either side. So you can have a fresher at the assignment desk. You can also have a fresher at the output desk. Event manager, something I would not talk much, but I know there's a lot of event management going on, and for which you need to be very outspoken and educated. Film director, information officer. Information officer is a very lucrative job these days, primarily because you are well connected to the top brass of any management. When we were growing up, I know, like in the family there were lawyers who never wanted to be Supreme Court judges or lawyers at the court. They wanted to be corporate lawyers. And I had no idea what that meant. But corporate lawyers is a breed of people who are probably very well connected because they handle both the government and the corporate. And that's a scenario which is now equivalent to an information officer. Because information officer in any corporate, Coca-Cola, Yokohama, JK Tyres, Reliance Group, that also gives you an opportunity for, I'll come back to it later on, for further studies. Because if you start applying for foreign scholarships, you need to have 2-3 years of work experience. And in such areas, they look at what background you come from. Magazine journalist, that's a safe place, but not a very, in terms of remuneration, not a great place though, in terms of market reality, but it will be there. Market researcher, that's evolving and emerging everywhere. And market researcher is something who needs to have their maths and stats strong. Now my experience with media school says all the people, and I'm sorry to say that if I sound racist, just go maths nahi aata hai. So how much did you get in maths? 55. How much did you get in English? 85. So what makes you think you can do well in media? Sir, I'm great with the language. It's not really the case, because if you're a market researcher, you need to have your analytical skills in place. User experience, which is UX designer, that's an emerging phenomenon, and it will probably come to India. Dr. Badham might highlight more whether this has already come. I am not sure of it. User experience is the individual experience. So, if you are shopping on Amazon, right, or if you go to YouTube, right, you will see that after a couple of days, there are certain videos that come to you. Why do they come to you? They come to you because an analysis is done on your choices, on your hits. And that is not, that there is an algorithm for it, but there is a manual mind behind it as well. And market researchers are there all across, monitoring every bit of you. That's why I jokingly say I am never private in this world. There is nothing called private. Every time, everywhere, somebody is monitoring. And at the end of my discussion, I'll tell you what's happening globally, and that involves a lot of market user experience designers and writers. Now, potential employers, that's key to know. Where should I submit my CV to? Whom should I submit my CV to? Communication agencies, for sure. Kapani was there yesterday. there are many PR firms, so that's one area. I strongly recommend the civil service to bright students in history, the politics, and that would give them an edge. But having said that, the edge is always with the brighter students across domain universities. You can be a complete academician, but that old debate between academics and practitioners, I strongly adhere to that. So I believe that while being an academician, you also should be a practitioner at some point of time in your life.
Now let's move ahead, and now we have the most awaited event. Next session is about the Google workshop. So I'm handing over the microphone to Geetika ma'am. Ma'am, please.
For people who were not here yesterday, I am Geetika. I work as a teaching fellow with Google News Lab. My job is to go around newsrooms and journalism schools to take these kind of workshops, and we have a proper module. Some of it we did yesterday, but today we are going to concentrate largely on how to verify fake news. Not fake news, but yes, how to verify photos and videos for misinformation and disinformation. For nomenclature, we don't call it fake news because that's completely manufactured. It's mostly about getting the context right or context wrong in this case, or using some picture from some other place and saying that yes, it belongs to some other place B, something like that. So just to test you on how easily can you be guys, be fooled by, misled by misinformation, disinformation. We'll start off with a little quiz, and the idea of that quiz is basically to make you aware of how this thing really works. You can to join the game, you'll have to give a nickname for yourself. So choose a nickname and join the game. Let me know if everyone's in. I will start the game.
Who is left behind?
This cover on Donald Trump. A street in Bangladesh after Eid al-Adha, true or false? I think content is 100% false. Designed to deceive and do harm, something that you just create out of thin air, basically. False connection when headlines and visuals don't, or the captions don't match the content. It could be a picture of an accident somewhere, but you are saying that, okay, this is a case of flooding, for example. So that's there. False context, when genuine content is shared with false contextual information, where maybe a video of earthquake. For example, a video of earthquake is there, but you are saying that it's an earthquake from some part in northeast, but you are saying that's an earthquake that happened in some part in the south of the country. So that's false context. Manipulated content, when genuine information or imagery is manipulated to deceive. The great photoshopped jobs that we see on WhatsApp or Twitter, Facebook, where people or messages or quotes are photoshopped into photos, so that's manipulated content. Examples, we'll go through examples just to give you a sense of what are these 7 types of misinformation. Satire or parody. माल्या को अभी इंडिया में भेजो चुनाव पर असर पड़ेगा, कपिल सिब्बल की लंदन कोर्ट से अर्जी. So this is a case of a satire piece basically. If you look at, and it does get shared because these are done in a very believable manner. But when you look at the website, it clearly says that Faking News is a website that has news content with no reliable sources. It's completely fake. It is just to attract your attention. So in case of satire, mostly in most of the time, it will be very clear that it's a satirical piece. It's a satirical website. The media publisher was being changed. It's for BBC, CNN, and other publishers were also named in this. Now this is another case of imposter account, which creating these quote cards. We have seen those photos where people are wearing white shirt and something is written on those t-shirts. Now that is very easy to manipulate, to create actually. So similarly, these kind of placards which we see on Twitter, they are very easy to create once you know the format. It's not very difficult to create these in Photoshop. Probably takes 10 minutes for an expert to do this. So, but best thing to cross-check these is to look for similar quotes or similar piece of information on other media outlet. Now, if Rahul Gandhi had said something like this, it would be reported widely, right? But if it's only ABP News, that means there's something fishy about it. If it was an exclusive, ABP would be shouting at top of its voice saying it's exclusive. But that's not the case. Now this is a case of false context. It's actually a picture, genuine picture, but the context here is that this is from the Pulwama attack that happened in February. And this picture actually belongs to the Dantewada attack. And this started going viral right after the attack, I think in a couple of days after the attack. And it turned out that it actually belongs to the Dantewada. This is another case of manipulated content. This is a genuine piece of video, but they did something to it. What they did is they just
वो कहेंगे मैं तेरा काम नहीं करता, तो आप कहोगे अगली बार आयु वोट मांगने, वो कहेगा मेरे को अगली बार वोट चाहिए ही नहीं तुम्हारा.
Bother to call up the company to confirm whether such kind of internship has been given out or not. And turns out there was nothing like this was ever offered to that kid, and that guy was not able to take on the pressure, and he sort of it affected his mental health also. So it's just about asking the right questions. It wouldn't have taken too long for the reporter to go out and talk to the kid and talk to the company for that matter to confirm what it was. To parody, yes, just to mock someone, to have fun, to prove or to punk a point, that this is right, this is wrong. Passion. Some people are really passionate about spreading misinformation and disinformation. Partisanship, maybe you are actually partial towards a certain community, certain party, certain group of people, etc. Profit, maybe you are doing it for money, because yes, people who do it, when it's organized, there's money involved. So political influence, we have seen this happening, and we will keep this, we will keep seeing this continuing till the political parties are around. So yeah, propaganda, yes, when you are trying to spread a certain ideology or a certain idea or propaganda agenda being shared by maybe a party, maybe a group of people, individual, etc. So like that. So these are possible related search, yes, because I have just uploaded a picture, I didn't put a keyword search, like I didn't type in a keyword. That's why it's suggesting me the related keyword, similar images. This will tell you where all this image has been used on the web. You know, in different versions of this image, I mean. And of course, then you will scroll down to see that these are the pages that include the matching images. So that's how image search works. This is called reverse image search using this keyword. I'll show you some examples later. So of course, here it automatically detected that it's a Victoria Memorial. Sometimes it may take up something really different, you know, keyword. So I just changed it to Victoria Memorial, Kolkata. So my search results will get automatically updated. But of course, this is like a very popular example when we are trying to find out sources, or you know, we are viral that okay, Modi with a green flag which belongs to the Muslim community. So look at the amount of interaction this thing has. Now, if I try to let me just do a reverse image search with this one. So I'll upload this image. Now see that because this picture has been used in a certain context, that's why it's saying Modi with Pakistan flag. Because that is what was going viral, right? And even if people who have done the fact check of this particular photo, they must have also used the same term in the headline. That is how the keywords get attached to a photo. Flagging a train, right? So I will just change this photo to, let's see what we get with this. Okay, again, same. Let's look at visually similar images. Okay, we will see. We will go back and change the. You probably will end up finding some similar pictures of him. So it turned out that he was just cut out from this particular picture and photoshopped in that Modi picture. Now yesterday, the Dantewada photo that you saw, we know that Pulwama attack happened on 14th of February, right? Now that picture started going viral sometime around 18th or 19th of February. So how will you do a reverse image search with time filter on that particular picture? You will try to find out if this image has been published on the web before 14th of February, right? Simple, because we want to know if this is a true picture or not. If it's actually picture from Pulwama, then you will not find a trace of that image before 14th of February. But that wasn't the case. They actually found that this same image was used for Uri attacks also. And this actually belonged to Dantewada, which happened about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. So that's how the time filter works. So the time filter is used to narrow down the time frame when an image first appeared on the internet. Now it's useful in fact checking claims that say a particular. I just gave you this example. So in this example, so this is the time filter. I'll quickly show you also. So under tools, there's something called as time. Okay. Now this is the kind of these are the options that you get. Past hours. So maybe it's a breaking news scenario, and you want to know what has been published on the web around a certain event or a certain photo. You can just choose that as well. So if I do a custom range, let's say maybe I just want to know everything. Like, of course, this structure hasn't changed over the years. But now when I used this time filter from I want everything on Victoria Memorial published between 1st January 2019 till 31st December 2012. My search result is restricted to these 3 years. If you would go back and see the timestamp on each of the links that it will show you, it will all be from that period. Of course, this is a monument. It hasn't changed one bit in like years. But maybe if you're trying to do a skyline, maybe you want to see how the skyline of Calcutta has changed over the years. You can actually,
contact the local person. They will share the videos. So how can I find that?
in that case, you have to depend on your reporters because stringers.
He's not a reporter.
Okay.
I am the reporter, but I cannot put the area battlefield.
Okay, so then you will have to call up multiple sources in that case, like maybe a government source. Maybe if you're talking about, let's say, a landslide has happened in some hilly area in somewhere in your state or in your city, then you will have to call up the local authorities there to confirm it. There's like tools will not help you in this case.
At that time, the police didn't respond in the time.
Well, you'll have to try others. So that's what like it's something that you'll have to keep trying. Of course, it's not easy to just go down to the spot and verify it yourself. So maybe you will ask the police authorities, or maybe in case of a landslide, maybe the local NDRF guys, if there's any, or maybe talk to the locals if you can find local contacts in that particular area. If something like that has happened there, they would definitely have multiple pictures or videos, because nowadays the whole if you witness an accident or you witness an untoward incident, the first thing that people do is start reporting it. Even before helping it. It's quite sad, but that's what they do. So there will always be multiple, in case of an event like this, there will always be multiple photos, multiple videos. It will take time for it to start surfacing on social media, but there will be. If there's only one photo or a video which is going viral claiming to be from that event, there's a problem. That's a big red flag. And it's not an isolated event that happened, or there was only one eyewitness that witnessed, so try to help, to assess the damage and everything. There will be multiple images. You'll have to give it some time, and you'll have to call up multiple people, try to, get hold of locals there, see if you can, try to search on social media, Facebook and all. People go live. It's so easy to go live from on Facebook. It just takes like few seconds. Try to, use the Facebook search to find out what people are sharing in that particular area, or people living in that area. So there are multiple ways to verify it, in case it's a breaking news kind of a scenario. But if you see that, okay, there's only one video or one photo that's going viral, then it's a serious problem. That's a big, you have to make sure that you find out multiple footages, multiple images from that particular event. It can't be, it sometimes happens, that there is this picture there is this video which goes viral every time Bombay floods, which is actually a video from the Mexico airport, and that took 2 or 3 years old. And it says that, okay, Bombay airport tarmac is flooded now, and this is what the scene is. And it happens every year. That will start coming up again. Okay, look, this is the Bombay airport right now. Like a master key which opens all locks. Every different platform should have a different password. Whether it's a Gmail, whether it's your Facebook, whether it's your Twitter, every platform should have a different password. So how do you create difficult passwords? There's something called as passphrases. Basically a phrase from which you deduce a password. Now this phrase can be anything. It can be any information that you only know, or it can be like maybe let's say a lyrics from your favorite song, or it can be a line from your favorite, maybe it can be the favorite quote that you go to again and again, or it can be a line from any book, couplet, poem, whatever. It has to be a phrase which you only know or which doesn't make any sense. Two ways. And then you try to create a password out of it. You basically take out, either the initials. You think about the pattern. It's easy to remember the passphrase, right? You know that, you met Anjana in Mumbai in 2011. And you know the pattern that you use for for creating this password. Your password should always have special characters. So they have taken special characters, like for year they have taken a hash, which is a number. For at Mumbai they have taken a @. So it's up to you how you want to create a password out of this passphrase. But this is a password that you will not easily, you will not easily forget also, and it will be hard for someone to hack into also. Now, as I said that each of your passwords should be different for your different platforms. How do you create that? Best way is that you have created one difficult password, then you add some sort of an identifier in the same password for different platforms. For example, this is an example of a password bana liya. Now I want to use this for Facebook. I can just add a F or a B somewhere to make sure that it's different, it's difficult, and I know that it belongs to FB. And if by any chance you get hacked on one account, at least all your other accounts are safe, and it's still the same password. You can use password managers. Anyone uses password managers? So basically, password managers are password managers. They manage your password. You can save all your passwords in a password manager. They are saved in an encrypted form. Basically, आपके passwords के ऊपर एक और security layer होता है. So if anybody gets into the password manager या कैसे भी access मिल जाता है, they will not be able to see it. They will hack हो जाता है या कोई data leak हो जाता है, they will not be able to see your passwords because it's all in encrypted form. They also let you create passwords. जब आप कोई नया account setup कर रहे होते हो, तब उसमें आपको prompt देगा कि एक auto generated password देगा. That will be like about 16 to 18 characters, random numbers या alphabets and special characters. So it will remember it for you as well as it will help you create. Chrome का inbuilt password manager भी है, which is called Google Passwords, which is also quite safe and helpful. But you have to make sure that you log out of your browser if you are going to use it on a shared machine. अगर आपने अगर दो जन एक ही लैपटॉप यूज कर रहे हैं और आप अपना ब्राउजर से लॉग आउट नहीं करोगे, then the other person can easily access into all in your browser. So always log out of your browsers. Delete the history whenever you are using a shared computer. How many of you know about two-step verification? Okay. So two-step verification is basically like adding an extra layer over and above your password. Whenever you log in, first you'll have to give a password, then it will ask you to give you a code which has been sent to you either by SMS or by a phone call, or sometimes it sent you a request on the app on your phone. अगर मैं Google account इस लैपटॉप पे कर रही हूँ तो मेरे को prompt आता है फ़ोन पे कि someone is trying to access your account. Is it you? Yes or no? जब तक मैं yes नहीं करूँगी तब तक वो login नहीं होगा. So अगर कोई आपके account में hack करने की कोशिश कर रहा है और आपका two-step on है, two-step verification on है, तो they will not be able to log in to your account because उनको वो code या ऐसे वो चाहिए ही होगा login करने के. So this is the basic thing that you can do. ये हर platform के लिए available है. आपका कोई भी social network हो, कोई भी banking site हो, कोई भी e-commerce site हो, कोई भी तरीके की in fact for social sites and email it's even more crucial because आपका इतना सारा personal information online है इस समय की you really want to make sure that you are safe. सबसे पहले डिफिकल्ट पासवर्ड बनाएंगे, उसके बाद हम पासवर्ड मैनेजर में सेव करो या आप डिफरेंट पासवर्ड्स बनाओ डिफरेंट प्लेटफॉर्म्स के लिए. तीसरी बार आप टू स्टेप वेरिफिकेशन ऑन करेंगे. सब दैट्स द बेसिक थिंग दैट यू कैन डू टू कीप योरसेल्फ ऑनलाइन. मतलब आज के टाइम पे ये बहुत, दिस इज लाइक अ मस्ट डू थिंग. एक दूसरा तरीका भी होता है टू स्टेप वेरिफिकेशन का. कोड की जगह कई बार एक सिक्योरिटी की यूज़ करना पड़ता है, बट सिक्योरिटी इट्स लाइक एन USB डिवाइस. तो आपको अपने फ़ोन में डालना पड़ेगा, अपने फ़ोन से पेयर करना पड़ेगा या लैपटॉप या डिवाइस में प्लग इन करना पड़ेगा. तो इसमें जो फ़ोटो है इसमें इट वर्क्स ऑन योर थंब इम्प्रेशन. जब तक मैं सिक्योरिटी की को अपने थंब इम्प्रेशन से एक्टिवेट नहीं करूँगी तब तक लॉग इन नहीं होगा. नाउ दिस इज़ जनरली गिवन आउट in corporate offices, because a lot of people access their corporate accounts on networks outside their office, so that is why. Now the only problem with this one is that if you lose it then you'll have to buy a new one, and these are available starting from 500 rupees till few thousands. Online मिल जाएगा, Amazon वगैरह पे सब पे available है. Or buy the one which come with encryption, and it's quite helpful, but it's a commitment. आपको हमेशा अपने साथ लेके घूमना पड़ेगा. But हो गया तो you'll have to buy a new one, set it up again to access your account. So for people like you and me, two-step verification. That's it. Where all have you logged in? Your last activity कौन से डिवाइस पे है, कितने बजे है, कहाँ है, पासवर्ड चेंज करना है, प्राइवेसी सेटिंग चेंज करनी है. दिस इज योर गो टू प्लेस. जस्ट टुडे मे बी गो बैक एंड टेक अ लुक एट योर अकाउंट. Where all are you using your Google account? Because आजकल there's an option log in with Google or log in with Facebook. It's easier because you're already logged into Google on the browser, so it's just easier to log in. And हमने एक बार log in कर लिया, but हम कभी दोबारा उस साइट पे गए ही नहीं. So how do you make sure that the sites that you don't use don't have access to your account? So this is the place you can go and do a security audit of your account. Coming to mobile phones, what do you think is the best way to lock your phone? Fingerprints are not that great. Like just one feather touch and they open. You might as well be dead and somebody can unlock your phone. So, but what do you think is the best way to lock your phone? Until unless it's a difficult pattern.
Anybody can observe you.
Exactly, the finger movements can be observed to crack your pattern. That's yeah. So best is PIN or a password, because you have to physically enter, type in your password. That's the best way to lock your phone. But when it comes to patterns, can anybody tell me which is like the toughest pattern?
But there is a repetition on within hours.
I'm sorry?
Wherever there is among these.
Yeah, among these, sorry.
Any pattern, but there is a repetition where from one point to another it goes and comes back.
Yes. Are lazy enough to use M's and S and 7s and L's and N's for as passwords. So the idea here is that if you are someone who believes strongly in pattern locks, please create a difficult pattern, something that is not easy, can confuse the other person easily. So I live in a joint family and I have a cousin with me, and so of course he doesn't have a very fancy phone. Now that bugger, what he has done, he has downloaded PUBG on each and every phone in the house, and he did one common pattern for all M, so that he can easily access all the phones. So now my last week agenda was to change pattern locks on each and every phone so that guy gets off PUBG. So it's easy. If you are somebody who actually uses pattern locks, please stick to difficult pattern locks. Now this message can be used for giving out any information which can help you in case of need. Like it can be an emergency number, maybe you can add your blood group or something. So There have been, I was narrated instances where people met with an accident, their phone was locked, and people who rescued them couldn't reach out to their families because the phones were locked. So, and they stopped putting a password after that, using a lock on their phone. So best way is that you can give out this kind of information on the lock screen itself. अगर कहीं खो जाता है या आपका कोई एक्सीडेंट वगैरह कुछ हो जाता है तो उसमें एटलीस्ट आप somebody can reach out to your near and dear ones. Now when it comes to Android, these are the options to safeguard your data on phone. Firstly, now we have to remember that all these features will work when your phone gets online. अगर चोरी हो जाता है तो of course the first thing they do is switch it off, and they keep it switched off for days. So whenever they will reopen it and it gets connected to the internet, then these features will kick in. Find your device, it will tell you where was it used last. You can do that. Just go to android.com/find or type in Find My Phone on Google search and it will take you directly to your phone's location. But for this one, of course, it will require GPS. So people who use their GPS, who keep their GPS on on all the time, will be quite helpful for them. Now play sound is another feature. In case you have forgotten your phone here somewhere and it's on silent mode, you can go to again this android.com/find and play your phone at the loudest of volume for 5 minutes, even if it's on silent. So you will be able to find out where is it. Then comes the lock your device. You can put a lock, you can put a password remotely on your Android phone. Erase your data, that's your last option. You don't have any hope of recovering your phone. Remotely delete your data. Whatever synced to your Gmail will stay, but it will basically just delete everything else. What is the major difference between these two networks? Networks are those networks where the networks that you find in public places. You know, the lure of free Wi-Fi at cafes, railway stations, airports, etc. They are not really that safe network because they are open network. Anybody can access them. Even with the bare minimum encryption and all, there are chances that people can hack into it and can actually see what you are doing while browsing the internet. So let's say maybe next time you are at an airport and you want to make a transaction and you are hooked on to the airport Wi-Fi, please move back to your phone to make any financial transaction. Because your phone networks are encrypted and they are single source because it's between you and the service provider. So these are better. This is like a best option if you are trying to make financial transactions. Open network is fine if you just want to browse stuff, like simple stuff. Maybe you want to read something, yes, go ahead. You want to watch a movie, go ahead, do that. But avoid doing financial transactions or shopping or any kind of financial transactions on open network. Secure networks are those networks which you set up at home or your office, encrypted with a password, and so whatever you are sharing with the website and whatever information you are trading with the website, it's all safe. So these are the major differences between open and secure network. Always download your apps from trusted sources. That means only app stores, because app stores are scanning the apps for anything malicious at all time. And on Android there's something called as Play Protect. So it actually scans apps for any malicious feature, and apps which have passed that scan are the ones which are available for you to download. If you end up downloading something from, I think that Pokemon Go was the one which came very late to India. People were using cracked versions. Now the problem with that was that of course it was a game and all, but you never know what kind of other things are getting downloaded with that cracked version. And it could be, maybe it could be a virus, maybe it could be a malicious software. Malicious softwares are basically malwares, which can, club with an app or a document or a program, and they try to take information from your device without you knowing. So that's why it's suggested that you stick to trusted sources while downloading apps. How many of you have an idea about what is phishing? Anyone who knows a bait for getting your information? It could be any information. It could be, maybe if it's a banking fraud, then they're probably looking at your bank details. Maybe they just want to hack into your email account, so they want your username and password. Now the problem with phishing is that the most common ways of phishing is through email. Or there was this case that happened in Delhi where a guy was trying to sell his motorcycle on OLX. Somebody, posed as a buyer and sent a SMS saying, okay, please, I'm interested in buying your bike. Now this is the link, fill in your bank account details. Now that poor guy couldn't, of course, his bike was never sold, but he lost 70 grams because he shared all his banking details with that other guy through that link. So that's also a way of phishing. So this looks like a genuine Google page. The URL is the problem here. Always, when you get any suspicious email, always look at the URL. Because if it's a genuine login page, then the URL will be completely different than that URL. That URL will have a lot of gibberish, including a redirect website. Because obviously it's not a genuine page. They want to ultimately take your username and password and use it for some other purpose. So always look at the URL whenever you get any such email. Now this is a classic, another example of phishing. Somebody sends you a mail saying, oh, somebody is trying to log into your Google account. Is this you? Please reset your password. Now they have given you a link, but you have to double check that link. Best way to handle this kind of an email is that you actually do a Google search and go to myaccount.google.com and see your last logins. That will tell you whether this is a genuine mail or not. Sometimes in panic we'll end up clicking on the link and we will end up giving a username and password, but idea here is not to get panicked, but just go to the right page and check whether everything is alright or not. Now in this case, this is a phishing email. Now this looks, so in that case it's not like the government websites are harmful for you, but it's more about maybe they are running some plugin or some script which can be harmful for your browser or for your safety. In that case, I'd suggest that you access it through incognito, which is also not 100% safe, but still the damage is lesser compared to browsing it in simple window, or set up a VPN. About in the last 2 days, be it data journalism or be it ads, be it YouTube, safety and security, advanced search, etc. You can go there. 55 courses. It's from my side. Any questions, anyone? I can wind up. If you want to reach out to me, that's me. That's my email ID and that's my Twitter account. So you can take a note of this if anybody has to. So if because most of you are academicians here, and if you want something similar training back in your own college for your own media students, please write to me. I generally do a 2-day training. Please write to me and we can definitely take it forward. And any questions, anyone, any feedback? Like, do you think this makes sense as topics in your curriculum for your courses? Do you think your students are required to learn all this? Because my experience has been that there's a slight disconnect between what is being taught in classrooms versus what is required in the newsrooms. And even though we are teaching a very young generation, it's kind of, it's surprising that these students really don't have clue about all this. And you would assume that they are more tech friendly and all that, but sorry, they're selective consumers. Like I'm on Snapchat because all of my friends are on Snapchat. I'm not using the internet the way a journalism student should be using it, so that's the problem. So if there's anything you would like to add here, otherwise we'll close it.
She has taught us. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now we would all like to break for a lunch break and we'll
দেশ থেকে বিদেশ, জেলা থেকে ব্লক, রাজনীতি, খেলা, বিনোদন সমস্ত খবরে টাটকা আপডেট পেতে সাবস্ক্রাইব করুন আমাদের চ্যানেল হলদিয়া লাইভ।